Those stupid carburetors. Man, what are you guys doing there? Oh, I see it's Ralph. Slim's watching, Zorba. And there's all kinds of people. There's some people I don't even know. Well, since you're here, you might as well hang out a little bit. Welcome back to Junk's Automotive. We're gonna have a little bit of carburetor fun, not too much because I know it's snooze fest. Alright, let me get you in here and show you what's up. Well, here's what we got. Parts everywhere. Parts on the floor, parts everywhere. There's these little things like this, some little things like that, and it looks kind of confusing, but actually, since I have one that's still mostly put together, right? They're kind of weird. They're sort of alien. So what I'm going to do is zoom you in here. I'm not going to bore you too much with all this, but oh, camera skills, man, I'm good. Okay. So here's this air horn thing, right? If you look inside, this air horn thing goes up and down. So our carburetors that us guys are used to, you know, real carburetors, they have an accelerator pump, they have an idle circuit, they have an off idle circuit, they have all kind of circuits. Depends on the carburetor. This one has one circuit. That circuit runs fuel right through here. Now I've learned that all these fancy levers and stuff, that's a choke. There's no choke butterflies. There's a throttle butterfly, right? We kind of talked about that. But what happens when this throttle opens up? Let's see if this one, yeah, this one opens up. You can see it. It opens up, trust me. When it opens up, there's little air holes inside of this piston, and it's basically just a piston, and this is an air horn. There's no fuel here. There is some oil in there, I'll explain that later. But this is what the piston looks like, right? There's a needle. That needle goes right in here, in the bottom of the carburetor. So that's where your fuel comes in. The only reason this is a choke is it is at idle or fast idle, it actually lowers the jet, the valve. And these are graduated. So it starts out really small and gets bigger. So as so choke it, all you got to do is change the position of that in the seat and you get more fuel. But as you throw the onions to this thing, and you open up this throttle, that piston will automatically go up and it gets bigger. It changes that venturi to small to big, as well as at the same time opens up that needle, and it's really hard to see inside there. You can kind of see it. There's that needle, and that seat is right down here. So spring, it's just a return spring. The spring goes inside here, and here's your little piston right here, goes right in here. The little holes that I was talking about that causes a vacuum on the other side of this and sucks this thing up. It's a negative pressure, actually, we'll just say suck through these holes. So it pulls against that spring, opening up our venturi, which this is our venturi inside that valve or throttle body. Okay, carburetor. And there's your needle. That's basically how it works. That's the basics of it. Then each one has a little float bowl. Float bowl has a float in it. It just sits like that. The fuel comes in right here through the top. And there's your needle and seat. So you can actually unbolt these on the car, figure out your problem. So that's how it works. See the little prongs there? They close the needle when the float comes up. That's it. Not bad. You know, it's kind of weird. But once I figured out how they worked, and you know how I figured out how they worked? I watched YouTube. Yep. That's me. So, we're gonna not bore you with the cleaning because I've already done a lot of that. We have gaskets, and I might have a thing or two to show you, but other than that, I'm not going to show you too much more carburation stuff until these are done. It's a matter of taking it apart, set the parts over here, remember where they go, take pictures, use your gaskets, and find the proper gaskets when you replace the old ones, and you just clean. Then you put them back together. That's about it. Okay. See you in the next one. The next segment, that is. Well, one carburetor in, already trouble. And you know, not surprised, but I'm pretty sure somebody was thinking that maybe down the road we'd have trouble. So, let me get you in here, show you what's up. So, put this one all together. Got the return spring inside there, bolted down the air horn. Got my valve all put back together. And I am missing something. Maybe that's why. We'll find out. Anyhow, if I look with the screws out, I can see a little air gap on one side of this air horn. I thought, well, because I noticed my little plunger here, it only plunge if I pick up on this side just a little bit. Can you hear that? If I pick up on it, it works. So, took that one off. Tried the one from the other carburetor. It's all the same. Same thing. Put these air horns in the other carburetor and it works. It just slides back and forth, up and down real easy. So, come to find out, I can't see it, but somehow, oh actually I might see it now. Nope, sure don't. This carburetor base right here is damaged to where it's crooked, then it binds all that stuff up. So these were the most complete looking carburetors, but I had two other carburetors that were quite a bit cleaner. All the little joints weren't wore out and the levers as bad, and the rest of them looked like they were a lot less miles, you know. So I've already kind of cleaned this one. It's ready to take apart the rest of the way, get it clean and put new parts in it. Then the other one's soaking in the juice, so we'll take it apart and clean it. The only thing is, one carburetor has to have a little threaded port for our distributor vacuum. This one doesn't, so I hope the other one does. We'll see. I'll get back with you. Alright. Well, I might be dumb, but I'm not stupid. Like any good YouTube guy, which I am not. Put one together first. You see our little plunger? Feels, you know, So I'm going to show you how the other one goes together. Also, the other carburetors had these big springs in them, longer. These carburetors have these shorter springs. Higher performance, maybe not, but they're the ones that came with these carburetors. I'm keeping the needles and the seats and the air horns on each carburetor best I can tell, just to keep them matched up. So I feel like that one's pretty good. So there's seat inside there, and again the lever, I got to put the pin in back in, but that lever pulls that's the seat right there, right here. Yeah, that thing right there pulls it out. If I pull out on it, you'll see it. See that? Whoop. Okay, that's a choke. Right? That's all it is. You don't have butterflies that hold stuff off, so I'll carefully put the pointy end into the hole. There it is. Right? The other one felt about the same. I'm going to assume that's okay. Spring on. Get nice and gently line up my bolt holes. Alright? There's no gasket in there. No gasket. Finely machined English parts. Of course, I'm going to hold it with my hand nice and tight and see if that, yep. Now I'm safe to put the screws in. So, went on a little adventure today, and I'm going to kind of tell you my whole week was nothing but a busy nightmare, right? I'm not going to say why, because I don't like talking about work stuff or getting negative. There is stuff about my job that's good. It's just hard to find a lot of times. Long week. Usually what I do is I come out here during the week, after the little one's in bed, come out here for about an hour or so, a little more, work on some stuff so you guys can have a video. And I ain't got to cram it in on a weekend or do it over 2 weekends and try to make one long video. It's better I do it this way. Trust me. Which is another side of it. That's why you're probably not going to see Ralph in this video. You're probably not going to hear this car run, at least, you know, maybe tomorrow we can make it bark off a little. But it's not going to run. Mostly because Ralph would have had to come, this is Saturday night, he had to come last night, and I was not out here. I cleaned carburetor parts. That's all I did all week. You know, and just to get to this point, just to end up actually cleaning 2 more carburetors and redoing them. So, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, right? When you want to work a full-time job, have a family, man, you're going to spend a lot of time not working on what you want to work on, but you make time when you can. Anyhow, I worked today. Today was Saturday. Yesterday was my father-in-law's birthday. I love the man to death, you know, and he's just like anybody. I can be a pain in his ass, I'm very sure, but I love him to death. And so he and I, after I got off work, I went and picked him up. We drove up to Fairmount, Indiana, went to the James Dean Car Show, had a blast. Whole lot of walking we didn't want to do, but great big tenderloins. And so if you look at the video posted on my channel right before this one, you're going to see a little cell phone video action. So the video quality should match what's the rest of the channel, right? But we had a good time, so go down there and check that out if you don't mind. Comment on it. Tell old Ed happy birthday. You know, and I learned from losing my dad years back, the strongest people in the world you think are going to be around forever, and they're not. They're just not. Including myself and all the rest of you. you know. Part of life is dying. And I just know old Ed, he's a pretty tough one, but I know he's not going to be around forever. So I'll, you know, if I can take that chance to spend an afternoon with him when I do have other things I could be doing, man, it was worth the trip, you know. And we're going to do it every year from now on. We can get by with it, you know. But from now on, we're going to rip them golf carts. Yep. So anyway, here's the second one. I just put it together. Let's see how that plunger does. Look at that. Nice and smooth, no resistance. I can feel that tension spring and the air shooting through those holes, and it feels the same as the other one. So I'm going to be happy with that. You know, a couple of other things to do. I'm going to bolt on the fuel, you know. They'll bolt on underneath here, and I'll show you what it looks like. Anyhow, so it's kind of why we're not going to have this running. I didn't have the time this week to put into it. And Ralph is, you know, Ralph's busy, man. He's a heck of a musician. And you think he just plays with the Punk and Holler Boys? Think again. That's what that man does. That and guitar shows, and works at the guitar store here and there, you know. So I'm all for it. We just kind of rescheduled a little bit. It was better for him and me. You guys just have to wait for a video, but this will be fun. Well, it's late, but I have 2 usable carburetors. So here's your float bowl. Fuel comes in here, and you're kind of looking at, just so you know, carburetor goes on like that. There's another one right here. 2 rods bolt together. Fuel comes in. You know, let's go ahead and stick the other one on there as a visual aid. There we go. Okay. So here's your air horns. Here's your fuel floats for each one. I have found out that there is a left and a right of the fuel bowl. So this one's kind of, it's fine. This one's pointed towards the exhaust. Yeah, not great, but it's temporary, kinda. These carburetors will come back off because they're the body goes right here. And we're going to fix some stuff. We're going to fix our got some wallered out choke holds. You know, that's your choke. So I'll take these apart. I'll either replace these arms, or I'll make bushings and grease them up and get them all together so they're nice and tight and won't break. Of course, there's your heat shield that goes underneath the carburetors. So couple of things I'm going to show you before we call it a night. Right here, right there, these carburetors take oil. No, it's not a 2-cycle, but what it does is that piston that comes up, you got to have a buffer so it doesn't come up too fast, right? So your springs are there, so you fill these little cavities with oil. You have these little caps that go in them. My kit didn't come with gaskets, so I've got O-rings on them, but they go right down in there. And these are one of those kind of cars, there's no seals in there. It's just a machine surface, so the oil is going to make it into the engine. I don't care what you say, it's going to happen. Slowly but surely. And they say 20 weight is the basic oil. And you can use different weights to slow down that piston, and so we'll figure all that out once we get her running and driving. Okay, so I've got to hook up fuel. There's a T that goes here, and it jumps over here to the other, which is right here. Aren't they pretty? Huh. But here's the T's that I'm going to use just for temporary. They're supposed to be braided lines like this. There's a pretty nice original example. We're not going to use these. We're going to buy new ones for the permanent installation. You know, safety. That's what Junks Automotive is all about. But I did want to show you a little thing. Here is one of those that goes, you know, just like a great big line fitting. I got to get some carburetor cleaner, finish cleaning them. But this started out looking like this. Right? So I put them in some rust mort. You want to use white vinegar, would probably work. You know, white vinegar would just take longer. That rust mort is some crazy stuff. There's rust mort. It turns into a goo. It eats that rust, and that rust turns into a goo. Then everything looks like this once you take it out. It's kind of got this nasty slime on it. So what I did, it's water-based, believe it or not. Sulfuric acid or whatever kind of stuff. Washed it with soap and water, rinsed them out, wire brushed them up a little bit. Then they look like this. But there's kind of some goo inside, so I'm gonna get some carburetor cleaner because I'm out. You know, when you clean up 13 carburetors to make 2, you run out of carburetor cleaner. But, you know, hey, that's going to be usable. So, was there anything else? So there's the T's, right? With the lines cut off, because somebody did that, and this is only temporary. So tomorrow, maybe noon, 11 or 2, I'll get back out here, get the carburetors mounted, get the 2 shafts go together. There's a piece that goes together right between the 2 of them. Heat shield, manifold gaskets, and the gaskets I'm gonna, you know, grease them because we're gonna take this back off. We're not gonna do the old psh, 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 spray glue them on there permanently. We're gonna use grease. That way it all comes back apart. You know, not too much cleaning involved. We'll get some sparky plugs and spark plugs in there and a cap. So it'd be nice to see if we have some fire. We have those carburetors on. If this happens tomorrow, fingers crossed, we'll hear this thing just kind of blah blah blah. That's all I want. Little blah blah blah. Right? I'm gonna call that a win. At that point, fuel tank, fuel sending unit, hard brake line, or excuse me, fuel line, fuel pump, it goes back there. Yep, I've got a fuel pump for it that I think is going to work just fine. Then we'll get our radiator, which we have a decent radiator, I think, kind of tie strapped and bracketed up here, and so it holds coolant. There's you know, heater lines and all that stuff that we're just going to bypass, and you know, so that, and get it set up next week for the next video for Ralph. I want his smiling, beer drinking butt sitting right there on that cooler. Maybe not underneath that car, but you know, kind of out a little bit. And vroom. Brrr. Yep. Alright. As you can tell, I'm a little delirious, tired. Been a long week. Worked till 3 o'clock. Had a great time with the father-in-law. Man, I love that old man. He's, and I hate to call him an old man, but he's pretty old. I'm going inside. Yep. Getting my Cold War motors on. You guys gotta check them guys out. Man, I wish I could do this like all the time. Well, got a little ahead of myself. Didn't film a whole lot. Figured it was boring, and old junk box ain't feeling so hot. Kind of clammy. Feel like I'm running a temperature. It's a good thing you guys are watching virtually, right? By the way, no joke sponsor this week. I guess I'll go again. What's purple and goes slam, 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 slam? Anybody? a 4-door prune. Back to business. Got a coil. This is all temporary, okay? Got a coil hooked up, distributor cap with some old wires, negative side of the coil attached to our points hookup, our distributor in other words. I got a Ford starter solenoid. They're pretty handy for all kind of stuff. So this might be a permanent fixture somewhere in this vehicle, even though it's not MGA English factory stuff, but they work good. So, and I've got my positive side of the coil right here. I got grounds to the engine, positive to my solenoid, grounds to the body from the engine, and a spark tester. I'm going to have a feeling we got sparks here. So on the battery supply side of my solenoid, a little alligator clips there. Let me zoom in on this. See this right here? That should flash. Fingers crossed. Yep, we got spark. What do you think I'm thinking about doing? Well, what do they say when in Paris or Las Vegas or something? Let's see what happens. It should fire. Or backfire. Catch on fire. Oh! Tell you what, let's get rid of the spark tester. One. Got spark. It's we might have to open them butterflies a little bit. Huh. Well, is that good enough for now? Our timing's probably not right, but I'm glad I was standing on this side in case it backfires in my face. Well, guess I have to do the dangerous side. Let's see if we lost spark. Could have. Yep, lost spark for some reason. Alright, give me a minute, figure out why we lost spark. And well, boys and girls, here's a story about the rotor button that couldn't oh, it says remove the oil. Huh. Must have to oil that distributor. Anyhow, took the cap off and this came rolling out. Unfortunately, I don't have an old one. And you can see a little silvery line. Wrong rotor button. That's why it'd fire and shut off and, you know, and then nothing. But hey, we got accomplished kind of what I wanted to. Just to get it to cough off a little bit. Have it let me know it wants to live, right? So I'm pretty excited. Next week, next video, we'll get a temporary cooling system set up, exhaust system, get the fuel tank in it, run fuel line. I've got a fuel pump for it that I think will work pretty good. And get all that set up so we can just let this thing run and purr. Adjust some things a little bit, let it run, get some heat in it. You know, the whole goal of this part of this whole project is to make sure I don't have to take this engine out. I really don't want to. So we'll do that first, and then we'll put the body on, go along doing body work and doing the glamorous stuff, right? So we're going to call this a video. I'm glad you guys came to hang out. I appreciate you sharing and liking and commenting down below. Comment, tell me your dad jokes. You're the stupidest ones you know, right? They're funny. If you're not subscribed, go down there and click that subscribe button. That way, every time I do something stupid, you're going to get a notification on your stream and your YouTubes, and you see what junk's up to doing. Check these guys out. Cold War Motors, huh? Funny stuff. Great videos. I wish I could do that all the time, or close to that all the time. I don't know. Well, one step closer. Don't worry, Ralph. I didn't get too far without you, buddy. We'll see you next week. We'll see you next week. We'll have this puppy running or caught on fire. Junk out. Oh, I'm not feeling real good.